Hiya, it's Georgie here from Her Hair, My Head. Excuse the lack of makeup, but my hay fever is bad yet again, so I have lovely swollen eyes. And they're okay if I don't touch them, so I don't put any mascara on because I don't want them to get itchy. This is my natural bio hair. I have androgenetic alopecia, which essentially means that my hair is slowly thinning, a bit like how a man goes bald. The hair loss tends to be up here. Mine is particularly at the front, the middle, the crown, but as it's getting worse, it's also now thinning at the sides. So I mostly wear toppers, which are clipped onto the top of your head and provide the coverage where I need it, which is here. But this hair underneath, it's not thick, but I haven't got particularly, not that you can really see, but I haven't got hair loss right down here at the nape, so I have got a bit of hair here. So toppers work really well for me because they give me coverage up here and then the hair blends with my hair. I do also have a couple of wigs, which I'm still getting used to. I have quite a sensitive head in terms of pressure and things being tight on my head. So I don't find wigs as comfortable as toppers. And I'm sure in the future, as my hair loss gets worse and perhaps when there's not enough hair for me to use to clip the toppers in, I may well have to go for wigs full time. So for now, I'm sticking with toppers. And wearing my wigs every now and again. The reason I wanted to come on today is because I've had a couple of DMs from women who are quite new to hair loss, asking me about toppers and which ones I use, and it got me thinking about things that I would want to go back and tell myself when I started out with alternative hair. One thing that I've noticed, it's really hard for a brand to show you a photo of a topper on a real model because it's going to show their hair, and we're all different. We all have different levels of hair loss. So I've made the mistake of looking at a piece, a topper, and thinking, oh wow, the coverage is amazing, and then buying it online, getting the piece and being really disappointed because the ends are thinned out or wispy and it's not giving me the coverage I wanted. Because obviously you have to consider that a model, they might have thicker hair. So the piece is going to look totally different on them than it does to you. So always try and see if you can get a photo of the topper on a styrofoam head or a head with no hair, so you can see actually how much hair you're getting, because it does vary hugely from brand to brand and topper to topper. Also on the size of the base, a smaller base is going to give you less coverage. So if you've got a really small base that just, you know, clipped on here, you're not going to get the coverage around the sides. If you've got extensive hair loss, you want a bigger base that's going to cover more of your hair. And I think that's something, it's really tricky if you're buying online. And my advice is, if you can, try and go to a salon or try on the piece before you buy it. So one of the companies that I use is Beautiful Betsy, which is based in the UK. And Paula, who is the owner, I think she's based in Bristol way, but she does consultations around the whole country throughout the year. Obviously not at the moment because we're all in lockdown. So when I bought my piece from her, I met up with her, I tried on a few different ones, and I could see how it looked with my hair, what the the thickness of the hair and how that compared to the thickness of my hair, and did it blend, and what length did I need, and what colour suited my complexion, and which base size, and all those kind of things. But I appreciate that for a lot of women, buying online, one, is cheaper and it's easier. It's not scary because you don't have to go into a salon and show people your natural hair. And that the piece from Beautiful Betsy is the only one I've bought where I've had a consultation. Everything else I've bought online, but probably half the pieces I've bought have been wrong, and I've ended up selling them and making a loss, because when you sell hair secondhand, you never get the same amount of money. So a message that I had from a lady today was about she's never had a topper before, and she's got thinning hair up here, and could I give her any advice on where I get human hair toppers from. But specifically, she wanted ones that looked natural and like her hair, not adding lots of thickness and volume. Now, some women want really thick, voluptuous hair. For me, that freaks me out a bit. And I'm slowly getting to a point where I'm used to seeing myself with more hair. But I've had thin hair for so many years, it looks really weird to me to suddenly have lots. So actually, for day to day, I just want a tiny bit more than I've already got, just so that you don't see all these horrible, baldy, thin bits. So I quite like toppers that sit very flat to the head, and have coverage up here. If I'm going for a topper that is a similar length to my hair, I don't mind if it's thinner down here and slightly thicker up here. But I've also found over the years, as I've got used to wearing hair, I have tried out thicker pieces, and I quite like them for if you're going out or for a special occasion. But for daily wear, I'm also quite hot and sweaty. Another reason why I prefer toppers over wigs, because I sweat a lot out of my head. But having less hair, it keeps you cooler. Sorry, I'm pregnant and have really bad acid reflux, and have just had lunch and I keep feeling it. I need to get the Gaviscon out. So there's two brands that I recommended to this lady, that I've personally tried myself. I'm going to move a bit and see if this helps my reflux. Put my pillow up. So the first one that I've already mentioned is Beautiful Betsy. I've had really good experiences with this company. I've bought 2 toppers from there. The first one was about 3 years ago. And I know that they don't stock that exact piece anymore, but they have other, like a new range, and have similar pieces to that one. And then I bought a second piece from her probably about a year and a half later, and that was Maud. She is thicker, was quite a lot thicker than my first piece. And I really loved her, but I found the upkeep, because there was so much more hair, the styling and the upkeep was more, and I'm lazy. So I probably wouldn't buy that piece again, but there wasn't anything wrong with it. It was more just, it wasn't quite right for me. Now, if I was going to buy another piece from her, which I may well do in the future, I would go for something like Grace, which is pretty much everything I want for daily, which gives you coverage up here, but it's slightly thinner on the lengths and the ends, so it will blend with your hair. And I think that it's quite natural looking. The hair quality is really good from there. And Paula's great. She's really helpful, and she'll talk to you about what you need and what's right for you. And as I said before, if you can see her for a consultation, that gives you a chance to try on all her different pieces, because she's got lots of different weight densities and weights, and also a different range. So, you know, one with a lace front, one without. I think she's got silk tops and mono tops. So she's definitely worth checking out. I'll put her website in the caption information. And the second company that I would recommend, which I've only recently discovered, is Perfect Fringe, who are also based in the UK. I actually won a competition for one of their toppers. So I haven't had it that long, but what I've seen so far I'm really impressed with. It's really flat. It's a silk top. It doesn't have a lace front, but the way that it's parted and the way that the hair sits, I personally don't think that it needs to have a lace front. And again, it's really good for women who want something quite natural, because you've got all the coverage on the top, and then it's slightly less thick towards the ends, so it will blend really well with your own hair. There's other brands that will have a lot of hair here, and if you want to wear a topper that's longer than your bio hair, or you really don't have much bio hair here and it's quite straggly and you want that thickness, there are other brands that can do that for you. But these are more for people who just want something to just complement their bio hair and sit with it without making it really, really thick. And the topper that I have got from Perfect Fringe does that brilliantly. So those are the two brands that I would suggest if you're new to toppers, and you want something very natural. They both have products that would suit you. The other thing about Perfect Fringe is that they have lots of different base sizes. So they have some that are quite small bases that will just cover this bit, and then going larger. So depending on how much hair loss you've got, that's going to be really good. You can kind of gauge how much coverage you need. And again, it's an independent business, so Andrea, who runs it, is really helpful and really nice. And I'm sure she'd be happy to talk to you about what you need. They also do a colour match service, which I'm not sure if they're running at the moment, but essentially you can send off a bit of your hair to them and they will try and match the colour of the topper as closely to your hair as they can. So it can be quite daunting when you get a topper for the first time and it might not feel like you or your hair. And I think that's a really good way of, if the colour's perfectly matched to your hair, that's a great way of making it feel more like you. And often you'll get a piece and it'll come out the box and it's not going to be 100% right. So you might have to take it to the hairdresser to get it trimmed or to get it dyed. But this is taking out one of those processes. And actually it's something I probably would consider doing in the future, although my hair's quite a boring brown, so I tend to wear toppers that are similar coloured to my bio hair, but either slightly darker or slightly lighter. But then I've got years of wearing toppers and have that confidence, whereas somebody else who is new to toppers is likely to want something that exactly replicates their hair and looks as natural as possible. The one last thing about Perfect Fringe that I like is they have other accessories that you can wear with your topper. So when I won the topper from them, I decided to buy one of their messy buns, which is essentially a scrunchie made of hair. So you can, and it's the exact colour match to my topper. So you can put your hair up with the topper on in a ponytail, put in the messy bun, like put your hair into a bun, tie the messy bun in, and it looks really nice. And they also do hair on a wire. So if you got the topper and you were really happy with how it looked for every day, but you wanted to make it look more glamorous for a night out, say, you could add the hair on the wire underneath the topper, and that will give you the extra volume and the extra length.